Yeah. Yeah, I might make a sandwich sometime. You ever have an onion and peanut butter sandwich? I just started recording.
I absolutely hate onions.
Oh,
It's
even
actually
red.
it's yeah, no, it's like my least favorite vegetable.
Wow,
I don't
it's
like onions and I don't like onions, I don't like bacon, and I've been called weird for that my whole life, but like I just don't like it.
yeah.
I,
Well,
I don't,
there was a minute where for some reason people thought. I mean, I guess it was just it was in the zeitgeist that bacon was the best type of meat. You know what I mean, right? Like
I
10
know
years
I
ago?
think I know where that came from too, actually.
Okay.
Epic Mealtime
Oh!
on
Oh!
YouTube used to do like and bacon strips and like
That's
super
right.
got into that.
And I did say
and
about 10 years ago, that would have been about 15.
Yeah,
But
and
now,
then while they were doing that is when the bacon obsession really seemed to take off. I can't say it's 100% caused by them, but they were definitely one of the big early players of it, you know?
I think, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't, yeah, but it really, yeah. That weird
And,
kind of 2010-ish period of
yep.
time where all the movies were bad and a lot of weird stuff was going on. Bacon and what? People were crazy about bacon and pickles.
Pickles I'm still down for. Pickles I like.
I'm into all types. I might try to pickle some red onions.
It's not hard. A lot of so I watch a lot of Epicurious and other food related YouTube stuff because frankly I like food. And Epicurious quite often when they've got their like professional chefs on there do like a quick pickled red onion for a lot of their stuff.
Wow.
It's like I'd say probably about half the episodes that it makes sense for there to be onions in the food. There's probably a quick pickled onion.
Quick pickled, so probably like a brine first and then let the onions
Yeah,
soak
basically.
in it.
Yeah, you heat up your brine, you put it in, like you make your brine, you maybe heat it up to get the sugar to fully dissolve and salts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stick your veg in it and then just let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah,
We do it with we do quick
that's a
pickled
quick
cucumbers. Yeah, we do it for quick pickled cucumbers personally for one of my favorite Korean inspired things is like this ground beef thing that we do. And quick pickled cucumber is part of the recipe. And yeah, it's only basically first thing we do is put the brine together and prep the pickle,
Right.
like the cucumber. Throw it in the brine, put that in the fridge until we're done the rest of it, and then however it is how it is, you know.
Really? Not even like a day? Just like the
The
an
time
hour?
it takes to cook up ground beef and carrot. It's like half an hour.
Interesting. Okay, because I've done pickles like that and left them for 20. I mean, I guess they're probably. I mean, I don't know because I leave them for a day or so. But yeah,
The longer it's left, the more pickled it will be, and the more flavoring it will pick up.
yeah, that makes sense.
So with our ones, they tend to pick up the sugar more than anything else. So they become this like the meal itself is a little bit spicy for my level of spice. So like it's not spicy at all. It's basically
Right.
a chipotle mayo is spicy. So it's like ground beef and Korean seasoning mix, like a pre-blend, right? Cooked up with carrot and then put over rice with chipotle mayo or aioli or some that kind of thing, and then the pickles. Like that's it. It's a
Is that
really
like-
simple meal.
Is that like bibimbap or?
It's so you've heard of HelloFresh and such.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we got it from one called Chef's Plate.
Okay.
Which I don't know if the States has that, and it's basically the same idea as HelloFresh. You get to pick how many boxes how many meals per week, come in your box. You pay X amount of money and get it, and you'll get all the pre-portioned stuff. You chop it up and you cook it in and all that. So
Right.
what they sent was called Korean style. Korean inspired ground beef or something like that was like the name of it.
Okay.
So, and like I will be honest, and this is with no offense to anybody, we have trouble finding the Korean spice mixtures, so we usually use a Thai spice mixture anyways, just because it's gonna like the basics are very similar between the two, but
I would
there are
imagine
spice
that it's-
differences. Like there are some differences between the two in general, but it's the foundations are there. It's like the difference between Italian and French. The foundation is going to be the same. It's just there is going to be some slight spicing differences,
Sure.
But yeah, it's a really quick and easy. It's really it's really easy to make, and it's one of the I've told you before how picky I am, right? Like it's one of those meals that like I can generally not have any issues with it. I rarely have a no, this is not going to work for me today day with that.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. That seems like a good idea.
It's so easy and so tasty. But you need way more cucumber than you think you do, or at least we do. Like, we'll usually do a whole, like, proper cucumber, and the recipe is for, like, 2 mini cucumbers. And it's like, no, that is not enough. Like, 1 mini cucumber each, we end up eating that and, like, still needing more. There's not enough cucumber in the meal. So, we find that, like, a full-size cucumber will serve the 2 of us, but the rest of the meal will make up, like, for 4. You know?
Yeah.
It's just uneven. But yeah.
You're going to plant some cucumbers pretty soon. It's about time.
We can't.
Yeah.
We've got bunnies that just eat them.
Oh, well, that's a nice problem to have.
It is. We've tried doing, like, snap peas a few times and snow peas, and same idea.
Mm-hmm.
They just eat it outright, and that's fine. You can eat some of the stuff I'm planting, but I'd like to not just, just feed the bunnies.
My peas are already growing. So, the Dagger of the Mind.
Is that today's episode?
Is it? Dagger of the Mind. Yes, Season 1, Episode 9 in broadcast order.
Nice.
This one, I don't remember at all. I don't know if I've seen it, but I have been told that it introduces the Mind Meld.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, do you have memories about this one, or is this going to be fresh for you?
I know the name of it.
Sure. Yep.
I'm reading the here's what this is about.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't remember that, but like I remember the name of it. I'm just pulling up some screenshots, see if I can remember. No, I don't remember. I don't remember this.
Yeah, I don't either. And I've mentioned that it is a kind of a Star Trek thing. There's a lot of episodes center around meeting some scientist who is doing some kind of, experimental thing, and he's going to be cranky about it and doesn't want the crew to find out whatever the real thing he's doing is. And from reading the synopsis, I got the vibe that this is kind of one of those, but I do not think I've seen this one.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it. Much like much of the rest of the series so far, I've probably seen this. I don't remember which episode it is.
Right, it's back there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I mean that keeps being the case for me. Unfortunately, I'm bad for that with a lot of stuff. So, but it sounds familiar. I can't place it. Either way,
yeah,
it looks like it'll be fun.
You got some more facts?
Do
you ever want me to read the facts? We've sort of fallen into what our own jobs are here. But
honestly, I like being fact finder. This is fun.
All right, good.
Because I'm going to do it anyways. Like whether or not it's my role, I will end up looking stuff up anyways. You know me long enough. That's just personality,
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to read them one day, feel free. Like it's not like it's my job only, right? So. But yeah, so in this one here, much like last episode was Muri, which we did with Saint.
Yep.
And that was directed by Vincent McEvity or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm probably butchering this poor man's name, but it's anyway. So he's doing it again. This is his second episode. Simon Winselberg is the writer, and this was originally aired on November 3rd of 1966 with a 7.4 out of 10. From IMDb.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Vincent McEvity?
I'm not sure.
1 E, a V, followed by 2 E's. McEvity, maybe.
Maybe? I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his name.
Sure.
But
I mean, we definitely. One of the things I just said was certainly a butchery.
Yeah. And this is with no disrespect to Mr. I can't say your last name. But sometimes names are hard.
All right. Well, you wanna take a look at it?
I suppose we can. I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah. Supposedly. All right. Good. Um, Whoa, sorry, you caught me by surprise. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. You know that sort of trope, like on an instructional video or some bullshit or a commercial where some idiot is like drinking their coffee or taking their headphones off or dropping their headphones or getting tangled up in a headphone cord while high as a kite, and they look at you, they look directly into the camera, and they say, "Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm not looking into a camera. There's not a cam. This is an audio production. There's no camera. There are cameras in this room, but they're not pointed at me. None of them are turned on. I edit this in a video editing suite, and I'm looking at a black screen where no video feed is appearing because this is a podcast. A podcast called The Least Ready Room, where Dave and Chris, I'm Dave, are going to watch Star Trek, like all of it. And like talk about it with my friends Saint and Weebs and Locke. Locke is here today, and I think today we have we don't have Saint, we have Weebs and Locke, so that will be fun, and we're going to talk to them before we get back to Chris and really taking apart the episode, which Chris and I do, but we're going to see what Locke and Weebs thought about it first. And this one is... Oh, I was actually in the middle of looking up the man's name. It's McEvity. And so apologies. And I mention that because that's the writer. Vincent McEvity, I know for a fact that we are going to have problems with his name in the future because we did on Friday when we were recording the episode that's going to air 2 weeks from now or so. So, sorry, Vincent McEvity and any surviving Evities and their families. We do our best, and obviously we don't take this too seriously. It's called The Least Ready Room, and it's a little, there's some, wow, I wanted to say ass slappery going on, but that's not really the right term. No one's slapping asses around here, not in any kind of, other than Charlie, in any kind of context, a locker room context, a sexual harassment context, there is... Where am I? Where have I got into with this intro for the Dagger of the Mind? It's almost like someone came in and used a beam of some type to erase my memories of what I'm supposed to be talking about. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Locke and Weebs, and then I'll wrap up at the end, and we'll have the question of the week, which, I don't know what it's going to be. Is this going to be like a trope? Every time in the intro I say I don't know what it's going to be because I decide towards the end. It's going to be something about the next episode is the Corbomite maneuver. I have no idea what the question of the week will be. Let's talk to Weebs and Locke and then Chris, and then I'll come back. Then I'll be here at the end, probably very tired. That's sort of, so far, I mean, I think that's the vibe with the episodes recently. That's where we're at. I say a lot of bullshit that doesn't necessarily have to do about stuff. You know what? Thank you for being here. Here we go. Is your answer, Weebs? I may have asked you this exact question, but is your answer usually going to be no, you have not seen this episode before because you're basically not familiar with TOS?
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm not familiar.
Okay. We're probably going to look at the Dagger of the Mind, but like I said, I'm I'm ahead of the curve. So if people have, I mean, really ever, if people have a specific episode they want to look at, you know, we can.
I got nothing. I don't know anything. This is going to be my first intentional watching of a TOS episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, my first from start to finish. Period. So,
Clearly,
I mean,
yeah.
again, when I was like in elementary school, I would read any science fiction book I could get my hands on, and sometimes
Okay.
the used bookstores we would stop at on vacation or whatever, like, would have novelizations of TOS. So I have definitely read like novelizations of episode. So I've like read the episode, but I haven't seen it. So some of it might be familiar, but
That's
long
really
time ago.
interesting.
I have a few TNG books around here somewhere.
Man, I have read the shit out of Imsadi. That was the only one I had. I read it a lot. That's the Riker and Deanna Troi backstory romance.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
It's pretty spicy.
That sounds spicy.
I only really remember one thing from it, which is that Riker goes to Betazoid wedding, and Betazoid weddings are done in the nude,
Yes, they are.
Yep.
and he doesn't find that out until like
Yeah, until he's about to go on.
and so he's like going and sitting down. And the other thing in the book is that Betazoids don't have body hair.
Oh, really?
I guess below the neck, because
Yeah, I
obviously
was
we
about
see
to,
what's above
yeah.
the head. But like, and so he's getting a lot of looks because he's a hirsute fellow, and someone's like, "Why?" They're all being, kind of denigrated. There's like people who are being a little unfair to him, and sort of snooty. Somebody
Sure.
asks him like, "Why are you so hairy?" And he just looks at her and he grins and he says, "Traction."
Wow, all right. Yeah.
That's the only line I remember, but that's very, very Riker.
Somewhere around here, I have a X-Men Star Trek crossover.
Whoa.
It must be the first. It must be the TOS crew. I'm trying to. For some reason, I almost feel like it might be both crews. Like they might do like a time traveling as well as a meeting the X-Men.
Somebody's like fanfic delight.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's the TOS crew. I should look that thing. I should dig that out if we're talking about weird Star Trek shit. It's around here somewhere.
Have you heard about X-Men 97?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's all I know. It's just that it exists.
Yeah. I don't
Wow.
subscribe to
The first
Disney.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's got all the old bros from the 90s.
Yeah. Old
What's-
school.
What's Jubilee doing?
Not too much in episode 1. Teaching some rich kid how to dance, I think.
Was she a vampire?
No. Maybe I don't know who Jubilee is.
She wears a yellow trench coat in the 90s and throws
Shoots
jelly
fireworks.
beans. Yeah.
At her fingers.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the comic book, she became a vampire.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that would make her a little more interesting.
I don't know for how long. I think it was a case of, yeah, so we got to do something with this character. She throws jelly beans at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's who I thought she was. And she is not a vampire.
Yeah, she must be in one of those movies with Arya Stark. Not Arya. Sansa. Did they make 2 movies with that girl? I think they made 2 movies with her. She was in Sansa Stark was in 2 X-Men movies, not as a crossover.
What was she?
The actress.
Oh, right.
The X-Men.
Also, Gambit wears a crop top. And,
Oh.
I guess that pissed off Twitter.
Oh, I bet it did.
I thought he wore a crop top in
He
The
probably
comics, at
did.
least.
He definitely did in the comics.
I also believe I heard that Twitter was also mad that my friend in maybe either late elementary school or early middle school who's like, "Who's your favorite X-Man?" I was like, "Oh, Wolverine." He was like, "Mine's Rogue." And I was like, "Why is that?" And he was like, he just kind of looked at me with this like knowing look, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Rogue." I was like, What do you mean?" And he just kind of sighed and shook his head because I didn't really get it yet. He did, but I guess Twitter's mad that Rogue has been her shape has been changed.
Oh, she's less sexy?
Yeah, I
They
think
they
they
never like that. They never like it when the
No.
girl is less sexy than she was before. They got very pissed off when a basketball playing rabbit got less sexy.
Yeah, they did. They did get mad about that.
Humans are the worst.
God damn it!
So weird.
Oh, an uproar. What's her? I don't even know what her fucking name is.
Babs?
No, Babs is the child.
Oh, okay. That is not something that I don't have that stored away.
It's like I know a lot about cartoon rabbits. It's like Lola or something. Maybe.
That sounds right.
Take us out of orbit, Mr. Spock. Ahead warp factor 1.
Acknowledged, Captain. Warp factor 1.
So that was the first time anyone on television or anywhere else engaged in a Vulcan mind meld. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
I wondered about that.
It
Yeah.
seemed terrifyingly intimate.
Oh yeah, it was Spock whispering in his ear and everything.
Yeah, an inch from his face.
Now, are the Vulcans, it's like a telepathic thing? Is that the idea?
Yes. Yeah. But it has to be there's more of a ritual to it in later years. There's a little thing that they say.
I might
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's used in specific ways later on, like you can get like you can take an imprint of the guy right before he dies, you know?
Mm.
And like Sarek and Picard do something weird.
Yeah, that's the one with which I'm familiar.
Does Picard like carry Sarek's dying spirit or something for a little
Sort
bit?
of. Well, so Sarek has a disease that makes him unable to control his emotions.
And
Sure.
syndrome.
Bandai.
Yeah, and kills him. But he has to do some kind of special negotiations. So
Right.
Picard basically takes all of his anguish and angst, all of his emotions, and gives him his icy cool.
Oh.
So then Picard has to like sit in a room
So-
for a couple of days screaming.
Yeah.
And avoiding the opera, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the most
But-
emotional thing.
But he does end up with, a lot of Sarek's feelings and memories and stuff. So like later he meets Spock and is like, "Hey, so but your dad was proud of you."
You're dead now.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's I don't think it's made super clear in that. I wondered if it was in TOS whether if they are semi-telepathic as a race, or if what the devil that is.
I think they are considered a semi-telepathic race.
I wonder if the Romulans could do it. Oh, it's probably a mind discipline thing as well, like your latent
Yeah.
ding dong abilities.
You have
combined
to
with stoicism.
You have to go
Wonder
to
how
Vulcan church
casually-
camp.
they mind meld in TOS.
How?
Casually, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
do they do it as a means to an end? Like,
that's interesting.
like they weaponize it? I wonder. I don't know.
Right, you like palm somebody's face and put your mind in their mind. I
That's not a Vulcan thing to do. Yeah, if the Romulans could do it, they
Yeah.
would be that's what they would be doing. I never saw a Romulan do any mind melding.
I found it interesting that Spock was like, "It's a part of our private lives," and like that he was a little bit sensitive about it because
could
that
have
seems
been-
like a very emotional reaction.
So the thing, yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, it does. Canonically, Vulcans are full of shit.
Oh yeah, they're super
Yeah.
emotional.
Just like any human being, that says, "I don't think you should make decisions based on your feelings. I feel
Right.
like you shouldn't be doing that because of the way that I feel."
Right.
It's impossible not to sound like an idiot.
Yeah,
So, as far as it being part of their personal lives, all I could really think of is that in A Search for Spock, and I think it's explained in A Search for Spock. I think it might even be something that isn't even intended in the writing of Wrath of Khan, but Spock's mind does get imprinted into Kirk. And I think it's in A Search for Spock. It's explained to Kirk that you have Spock's mind inside of you. And that's some kind of Vulcan thing that, they do when they die. That is considered a very intimate thing. And you're supposed, the recipient is supposed to bring the Vulcan's mind back to Vulcan or something, maybe. And now I'm starting to wonder if I'm making all of this up, but mainly because that's never talked about again. I never heard any other Vulcan talk
right?
about. Yeah, well, exactly. And so he eventually gets Spock's mind to put it back into Spock's body that regrew on the Genesis planet with a bunch of bacteria that turned into pasta shells. Have you seen Search for Spock?
no.
Oh, yeah. There's big bacterias.
I forget.
Big swollen pink pasta shell puppet bacteria things that bugged me out when I was a child.
Weird pasta shell bacteria puppet things.
It's so.
I get that sense right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a brand new sentence.
Well, that's not a sentence. That's just a subject.
Okay, that's
If
a
I
brand
said-
new
If I said
conglomeration of words.
the Genesis affected bacteria pasta shell puppet puffy pink blood leeches crawling around on baby Spock's coffin before he got imprinted with his mind that was being carried by Kirk really bugged me the fuck out when I was a child. That's a full sentence with a subject, an object, nouns, verbs, and the whole thing, a predicate.
All of the stuff that you might want to find in this sentence.
I don't think that The Search for Spock is considered to be one of the better ones. I think people think it's boring, but the thing that I just said is definitely what... I don't know. I'm not sure how much I'm making up of Kirk's soul being in... Spock's soul being in Kirk's body. But...
Oh, are they called Genesis leeches? These things are pretty awful looking.
They're on the Genesis planet, and bacteria that was on Spock's coffin grew into big pink leeches.
Weebs, I just went into the
Pasta
lounge
shells.
weebs, and that is a pretty special face right there.
Oh, yeah.
Is this them?
Oh, that's them. Yeah, I hated them. Oh, boy. Certain types of pasta salad I cannot eat to this day. Man, I haven't seen A Search for Spock, as an adult, maybe. Because I don't know why. I think it's boring. And now I have no clue. There could be anything going on. This is the only thing I remember about that movie. puffy pink shell leeches. And I mean, to be honest, that's totally the kind of shit I'm into.
Those leeches.
Yeah, so I should watch. I think the movies are on Paramount Plus. I mean, we're gonna watch them after we watch the TV series. But I might want to watch Search for Spock just because I haven't. Because really, the trilogy is 2, 3, and 4. That's one. That's like what some people consider. Kind of like, the 390 shows are the 390 shows. Those 380s movies are like the 3 movies. And then I guess people think Undiscovered Country is good too. Like on the side.
Which is the Wales one? That's the only one I've seen.
That's 4. That's so 2, 3, and 4 are like they're very interconnected. Like they're episodic, but they go from one thing to another. Like they pick up right where the other one left off.
Okay.
Kind of situation. So yeah, and so 4 is the voyage home with the whales.
Intent on returning home to Earth to face trial for their actions in the previous film.
Yes. They
did some bad stuff.
They like commandeered a ship or something, and a planet got obliterated / created.
Oh.
The Genesis planet where these leeches are coming from, the Genesis effect that's making them. The Genesis effect is what's made bacteria turn into leeches and then big giant poop worms, and it also made Spock's corpse turn into a baby Spock. And the effect was the cause of a device that got shot into a planet that turned it into a molten crucible of life. And forests and jungles grew immediately. And I don't know if they meant to shoot Spock's coffin onto that planet, but it landed there, and Spock turned into a baby.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't wait to watch these 3 movies. I can't believe that what I'm saying is like the actual plotline of Star Trek 3. It's crazy, right? Pink pasta leashes and Spock's a baby.
So the Genesis device can convert any matter, a nebula, an ion storm, a starship, or an already inhabited planet to a Class M planet.
That comes with trees.
They should have used this on the Borg.
Another thing that's never mentioned again. Like so many things in Star Trek would be so useful.
Right. Oh, the time that we did that thing that saved everything? Let's forget how to do that.
Yeah, or like a Vulcan putting his whole soul into Captain Kirk's brain so that just in case he gets turned into a baby, Kirk can come. Because I don't know because Kirk's going crazy. It's like something you're only supposed to do with a Vulcan. That's what made me think about how it's like an intimate Vulcan thing, yeah. So I don't know what would have happened to Kirk if he couldn't get it out, if he couldn't get this Spock out of him. I'm watching Star Trek 3 again. Yeah, I really like the prologue in the Dagger of the Mind. I really liked the prolonged scene of Spock whispering in the dude's ear, and the dude's making that face and talking about the agony of being alone, and it's so lonely to be so empty in that room alone in agony. Oh my god. It's like some kind of Evangelion shit.
Absolute terror field.
Yeah. I think that guy's performance is terrific in a 1966 kind of way.
Oh, the guy with the eyeballs?
Yeah, the sweaty man with the eyeballs, yeah.
Yeah. Ultra sweaty, ultra eyeballs.
So eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the 2 main characteristics that I pulled off of his performance. But he definitely meant it.
They sure did.
Is the thing with Helen is Kirk having been kind of gotten around a lot? Does that continue to cause him trouble?
I don't know. I feel like
also, go ahead.
I feel like I haven't watched. I feel like I feel like we're probably right at about how much of this series. Actually, no, I think it goes right up in a few more episodes. We will have watched all of the episodes that I have watched as an adult, I think. So,
Cool.
so I don't really know the
Find
answer
out.
to that question because I did watch like maybe 10 or 15 episodes 5 years ago. We've kind of determined that's my estimate of how much of this I've watched, past 1990. And I think that's about it. I think about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, I watched 15 episodes of season 1, and that's about what we've seen. So there's been one other instance of somebody, mentioning some old affair of Kirk's or something like that. This may be the second or third time, definitely the second.
It's very 60s that
Yeah.
it's like you came to the Christmas party and we danced, and now we have a thing. And it's like she's like, oh, I'm going to be a little bit flirty with you, and you're only sort of the captain to me because we had this connection because we danced together, and I was like, okay, maybe that's a euphemism. But then she goes to implant the memory.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, actually, you brought me back to your quarters, which never happened.
Yeah.
She's very forward for someone who has just danced with a person.
Dancing at the Christmas party used to mean something. At the company Christmas party.
Oh, did it?
Real serious.
Oh, I think so.
Holding hands? Oh, boy.
Whew.
Holding hands.
I think I saw an ankle. So slender.
Holding hands on the starship in 1966 used to mean something. What'd you guys think of this episode? Did you like it?
Not bad.
Yeah?
I thought it was certainly better Star Trek than I was expecting from the original series.
Yeah, I hope that if you are here on some Fridays, I hope that you get a taste and see. Because I mean, I really, and again, I keep saying this, but in my old age now, I'm calm enough that I can sit down for a second and really look at something and kind of realize that most things have something to offer.
I'm not quite so sweaty in eyeballs.
Yeah. Oh,
I used to be.
I used to be a real pile of sweated eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I needed to watch Crank 2 all day over and over again.
This isn't the thing that I like, therefore it's sort of like, because I didn't like TOS because it wasn't TNG. Not because of its own merits. I didn't have anything to do with the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't.
It wasn't the thing that I loved.
Yeah.
So it couldn't exist, which is very...
But you know what? And I think part of it is now that we're in this age of... Oh, excuse me, I'm sort of getting hiccupy, but now that we're in this age of, Wikipedia and Memory Alpha and just all the information everywhere, and now that we can really notice little tiny bits of lore, and now that we're maybe more versed with some of the trivial aspects of it, it's a lot of fun to see where little tiny things that are in TNG began, like the first mind meld and other things that we've seen, and just... now that we know all this shit, we're just even noticing characters in the background and talking about what their connections to characters from TNG are and stuff. And, it really, as different as it is...
History.
Sorry?
Sorry, it's cool to see the history.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it really is. And that's where I was going.
Yeah, I've seen enough Star Trek now that this is actually historical stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So just the other thing.
This is in the eras of Star Trek that we are familiar with. This is the historical era.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Seeing the DS9 episode where they go back to TOS really helps.
Yeah, that's really
it's a great
cool.
episode.
Yeah, that one is
pretty faithful in terms of production too.
Yeah, they did a great job with that episode. I gather that it cost a lot, which is not surprising.
That is the 500th episode overall.
Oh, really? That's cool.
If we started here, if that was episode 11. So in 489 episodes, we'll get to Trials and Tribulations. Can you believe that that's what they called it?
Oh my goodness, yes. I
Trials
can't.
and Tribulations.
Was there? Did I miss anything about why the doctor
Oh,
lost his shit?
he fucked his grandmother or something.
Oh, I missed. Yeah, I did. I missed that part.
He won't exist in the future unless he fucks his grandmother.
Hold on a second. Oh no! Not Bashir. Not Bashir.
Oh.
That I understand.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand why Bashir needed to get that happening. I'm talking about this episode we just watched. I was like, wait, so Dr. Adams used the memory wipe machine because he fucked his grandma. I mean, I guess I understand why a person would want to wipe their
At
memories
that
after
point,
that.
it was who was that guy in Greece that that German guy on cocaine talked about?
I don't know.
Freud?
That's the cocaine guy. Yeah, who was the dude that killed his father?
Oh, Oedipus?
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that who you're talking about?
Well, I mean, so Dr. Adams, the guy, the villain of this episode, if he
Yeah.
was Oedipus, I didn't catch it. He got this machine. He got his hands on this machine. And he was like, "I'm just gonna turn everybody into fucked up, drones." Like,
Yeah.
but Kirk is saying that this guy is widely respected. He's had a lot of influence on the prison and rehabilitation system in the Federation. He gets his hands on this machine. And he's just like, Desti Nova.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, I feel like getting old and bored and crazy on the edges of space is like really going around in this series.
Okay.
Like there's a
he's
real
also being given absolute power over people. Which is bad for anybody.
on a planet where probably about 15 people live.
Right.
I think a lot of what this series or this early part of it so far is what happens when there's 4 people on a planet and no one else, no other kind of authority.
Yeah. And 3 of them are you.
Someone ends up doing insane shit.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, the Federation has like a couple dozen people in it.
It seems like he got the opportunity and went for it.
Maybe the doctor who was the prisoner that escaped.
Van Gelding.
Maybe,
Van Gelder.
yeah, the gelded man.
The
Maybe
Gelder man. The sweaty eyeball man.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so here's what happened. He makes
Alright.
the machine. This guy comes on as his assistant.
Yes.
He doesn't want to test it on himself. It's not that he doesn't want to test it on a prisoner, so he tests it on himself. He tested on his assistant, and his assistant gets fucked up in the machine.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to develop some megalomania. I'm going to put you in the machine because I didn't appreciate that. And then I'm going to make my own little, Dr. Moreau's, well, without turning people into animal type thing. That's my headcanon. Oh, yeah, I think the assistant got in the machine.
I wonder if, it doesn't really seem like Dr. Adams has any kind of plan to take over the Enterprise. Most people do on this show, it seems like so far.
It's a very special ship.
And just because of how specifically it seems like, I guess he just caught Kirk sniffing around.
Yeah.
And that's why he tried to give him the full neuralizer, but like...
It would have been, he could have just been like, hey, you don't give a shit about my planet or me. Like, that would have been the easy way to get rid of this snooping captain.
Yeah,
Like, give
so
me back the prisoner.
it's doing something like saying you've been in love with Helen for years, that almost seems like a bid to try to control the captain and take control of the Enterprise, which everyone loves to do.
His motives are a little opaque to me.
His motives are arc and theatric. Yeah, he's just a theatrical.
He's
arc
twirling
man.
his mustache
Yeah,
instead of his eyeballs.
with that weird lumpy grin of his.
Ah, that's like a Stephen King line.
Yeah, I like that one. I like the theatrics. I like Dr.
Yeah.
Van Gelder and his over the top performance. I like a lot of
that's
the
scenery
nonsense
chewing.
performances in this show. Yeah, because I say a lot that this is a lot like a stage play. There's a lot of
Yeah,
stagecraft
that's
going
really
on.
interesting. That's a good point.
And yeah, it's really neat. It's a lot like the way that I appreciate Kindred the Embraced.
Right, it's
For
theater.
real. Yeah, it's a type
Huh.
of teletheater that we have lost these days.
Yeah. Wow, that really shifts my angle on it. That's really
There
interesting.
you go.
Had not occurred to me at all. It's
Yeah.
also, yeah, like, and it because they're gestures toward things rather than strict, like Spock being sort of sassy and emotional. Like, yes, they're full of shit, but it's like he's not emotionless. He is he is pointing at emotionless. He's emotionless by contrast or something. It's really interesting. That's man, I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of the night.
He's a poser.
He certainly does present his emotionlessness in a very specific way that is playful
Yeah.
and therefore tinted with emotion.
He's also very gloaty about it.
He gloats and dances around. He's so funny.
He
Yo,
capers.
He rips on he is dropping ice burns on every member of the crew all the time and pretending and carrying on as though he doesn't even realize he's doing it, as though he is only speaking the plain truth, which is honestly such a dickhead maneuver. Vulcans
yeah.
are such dicks.
You can see why the Ramans left.
If you knew someone like this, you wouldn't associate with them, but it's a joy to watch him, right?
I have known people
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Right. So
They're insufferable.
so it's great. It's great to have him on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Especially around Captain Kirk and good old Bones McCoy. Good old
Yeah, Bones is
pile of
great.
chuckles, Bones McCoy.
Island Chuckles, Bones McCoy.
Yeah, a real laugh factory, that guy.
What's the what's with their Bluetooth earbuds?
Or the D-cell battery.
Yeah, exactly. The tea strainer hanging out of his ear. Well, because I know Uhura's got one because she's got to listen to special frequencies and shit. But like
Yeah.
Spock in that episode also had one.
Yeah.
He needs to plug in his USB drive.
I
Storage.
I don't know. I got nothing. Unless he was sitting up there at the comm waiting for phone calls or something. And
Oh, maybe. Or Nimoy was just like, hey, I want one of those.
could have been. That looks like fun.
Practically for 1960s televisions,
Yeah.
they probably had to have some exaggerated just
sure,
to
yeah.
see it at all.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
These are humongous, though. That's a great point. I hadn't thought about the quality of the
as
television.
far as something that represents a compact antenna and speaker that you can stick in your ear without any other type of headgear, like in 1996, it looked like very futuristic. Future shit.
I mean, it was 80 years ahead of its time. What?
That's future shit, man. Bluetooth earpiece, 1966.
I had left my watch downstairs and I had my hands full and I had my earbud in. So I like tapped my wrist against the side of my earbud until Apple thing came on. And I was like, hey, what time is it? And it was like, it is 4:22 or whatever. And I thought about Star Trek as it happened. Like, when I was in high school, the idea that one day I would be like pressing my wrist to my ear to know, and then asking a computer. My phone was downstairs. I didn't even have my phone with me, which is why I couldn't check the time. Like, my phone was downstairs, like halfway across the house. Like, I don't know. Ask my phone what time it is through my earbud. What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, make no mistake. We are living in an age of miracle and wonder.
Yeah. I'm here for it. I look forward to there being more.
Oh God, I'm worried we've had just about enough.
Yeah.
I'm worried the next little bit of more is going to be the one bite too much.
Well, I think that we're like, yes, for us. In the same way that, like, if you dropped like a Neolithic person into our world, they would just fry like a
Yes.
circuit giving too much juice.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think that it's every few generations. It's like, it's not that the things are getting. I mean, they may be, but it might not be the case that things are getting worse, but just that we can't adapt to it properly.
Oh,
and that,
no.
like, it's not for us.
Oh, no.
It's for the next people.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it's computers for grandma.
Right. It's like, this is like my mom could not program a VCR. I could. I can program. I could go into the command line on my Windows PC and tell it to do some stuff. But even though I'm tech savvy and enthusiastic, there'll come a point where I'm like, this is baffling. What do you fucking mean? You have to, like, I can't even imagine what it would be. Think at the computer in the right way. Like,
Oh, yeah, I won't be able to do that.
Old
And
man yells at clouds.
exactly.
I'm already yelling at every cloud.
Generation
Fuck
like
clouds.
Theta or whatever will be like, come on, great granddad.
How does
We booted you up because it's the anniversary of your death, and we wanted to say hi. Let's just have a little party, and then we're gonna shut you down again.
Yikes.
Yep. But it's not for us. We got to hand the world off to the next people. Eventually, it's like, what's the line from In the Mouth of Madness? Every species can smell its own extinction.
that sounds like something.
Eventually, we'll just be a bedtime story they tell to their children.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I think that's probably it.
100 years from now, someone else will occupy your home, having never known who you were.
Yeah,
That's from In the Mouth of Madness.
that part's not. I mean, if I'm lucky, it'll be my home and not my body.
Shit.
I don't give a shit what they do with my body.
I wrote it hard and put it away wet.
If you think you can squeeze some
If you
use
can
out
get
of it after I'm
mileage out of
done,
this fucking bag.
yeah, I mean, fuck. Leave it in the garage.
Yeah, have a blast. Well, as long as they don't, like, invent, I don't know, necromancy and, summon me and bind me into my bones to do work because robots got too complicated. That would be boring.
What are Is there anyone that does that? What are Necrons like?
Necrons, no. Well, so Necrons they tried to be immortal. They made a deal with the Catan, who are these space gods,
Okay.
and they said, we want to live forever. And the Catan were like, okay. I think it's the Catan, or maybe they were fighting the Catan. That part of deep Warhammer lore, the Necrons isn't my specialty, but, like, basically they got made into these robots. Most of them aren't even consentient.
Oh, okay.
And that's how they live
Okay.
forever. But it sucks to be them. So they're super mad about it. Well, most of them aren't anything.
How
Most of
about
the Necrons are not conscious.
What about in Mass Effect? Aren't there, like, dead AI controlled dead people? Do you know Mass Effect?
Well, yeah. Well, the Reapers have the husks.
The husks, yeah. What are those?
Yeah. Those are like zombies, essentially. They're like nanotech zombies, basically.
So they're not really like building
No.
spaceships.
There's
or,
a series of books, really, really good. It's not literature.
Yo, Matt,
but,
what's up?
Yo. Gideon the Ninth. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I believe that's on some list, but I'm writing it down on a current one. I believe we talked about Gideon the Ninth.
It is a fucking hoot. I love that book, and Harrow the Ninth, and then there's another one that just came out that I haven't read yet because I want to go back and read the whole series again before I start the third one.
Who is it by?
Oh, I don't remember her name.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
I feel like we've talked about Gideon.
If I tell you that it is about lesbian necromancers in space,
yeah, I think
you will say that is some bullshit. I don't want to read that. Well, you might not, but I did.
What? Dude, what? Wait.
Who are you talking to, Locke?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I heard that, and I was like, that
that
sounds intensely unserious.
Okay. Yeah. That it does sound that. Yeah.
And I want to read a serious science fiction
you do.
book,
Okay.
and I was fucking wrong.
Okay.
It is
Speaking of
funny and clever and cool.
Speaking of serious science fiction, did I miss Star Trek?
Yeah, we
Yes.
watched The Dagger of the Mind.
Oh well. That's too bad.
How you doing?
I feel okay. Can you remind me the plot of The Dagger of the Mind?
Kirk is he's dropping off some cargo at a penal colony, and they ship him a box of stuff. And the box of stuff turns out to contain a man. The man the man's very sweaty and deranged. He storms onto the bridge, and I think he wants to take the ship hostage, but they kick his ass, and they bring him to sick bay, and he's struggling to even express himself or to tell them his name. He's babbling and accusing them.
He's sweaty. He's sweaty the whole time.
Extremely sweaty. He's babbling and shouting at them that they don't have the right, and they're gonna wash their hands of the whole situation and bring him back to the hell he just escaped from. And so Kirk gets on the phone with the penal colony, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And the dude's like, "Kirk, my man, why don't you come down here and see what's going on? Because everything's above board. It's great down here. You don't even have to check your weapon. Why don't you and your hot lady friend, who you have a mysterious past with, you danced at the company Christmas party together one time. Why don't you guys come in and spend the night?" And Dr. Van Gelding, the sweaty man, is screaming, "Don't let them spend the night!" But they discovered the neuralizer. Kirk does. At which point he gets into it, and the girl implants a memory in his mind.
Oh no!
Of him fucking her.
Oh really?
Instead of just dancing with her at the Christmas party and then blowing her off.
Oh wow!
But she's just, even though that's very sinister, she was just having fun. Dr. Adams, the villain, bursts in. Some orderly grabs Helen and drags her away, and he hits Kirk with the super mind eraser ray and starts erasing his mind.
Whoa! No!
But Helen crawls through the air vents like, is his name Jack McClane?
John. Yeah.
John McClane. Yeah, she kicks a man into the high voltage wire that fries him alive. Yeah. She takes his phaser, disables the force field, which is why Spock can't teleport down to save Kirk's ass as he does.
Yeah.
So she disables the shield. Spock teleports down, rescues Kirk, turns the power back on, the mind eraser beam comes back on, and Dr. Adams happens to be lying on the floor where he was knocked out underneath the mind eraser beam at full volume, and his soul is emptied.
He got blasted by his own mind eraser?
He dies of loneliness in agony, in the agony of being alone and lonely.
Oh my god, never fuck with those mind eraser rays, dude.
Oops. Yeah, that's what happens in...
I learned that in my 20s.
Yep.
Oh boy, yeah. It took me about 2 decades of mind eraser rays to get to learn that.
Well, now I get I get one from on the regular from a doctor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have to have it administered by a doctor.
Oh yeah, they're above board now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's that eraser rain. That was a really good recap, Kuya. That was very good.
That's most of what happens.
Yeah, that you nailed it. That's the episode right there.
Well done.
What's the moral of the story?
Oh, call Spock if you can.
Yeah. Get the shield down and call Spock if you can. That's absolutely.
Call Spock as soon as you can.
If you go to a party and they start doing the mind eraser ray on you, call Spock.
Yep. Call Spock.
At a party.
I heard that he once held an opponent's hand in a jar of acid. No,
Vat of
his
acid.
opponent's wife's hand.
Wife's hand in a vat of acid or jar of acid
At a
at a
party.
party. I heard that motherfucker had like 30 goddamn dicks.
That's correct.
Amazing. Sorry I wasn't here for this excellent episode of Star Trek. Now I wish I had seen it.
8:30 usually. We started later, and if you ever want us to like wait or anything, you can message us. But I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah?
But you know, it's always nice when you pop in towards the end of the evening.
I think it's good. I think
Yeah.
a cameo suits me.
I like, yeah. I think it's pretty good.
Amazing. I was hanging around playing video games in my library here and doing nothing.
What are you playing?
I'm playing Caves of Cud,
Oh yeah, okay.
and it's fun and it's cool, and I'm on a really difficult mission right now, and I'm not very good at these kinds of games yet, so I'm like diving into this cave of an abandoned hospital full of robots,
Oh wow.
seeking some kind of weird robot guide to decode a signal that I got from somebody on a data disk.
How do you spell quad?
QUD.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh wow. All right, now let's talk to Chris again and break down the things scene to scene and everything that happens in it. Dagger the Mind. So that was the second one we watched. That's the second time we watched that one, kinda. I think I like some of it. Some of it
I do
is
too.
slow.
I think I do like it overall. Like, it's not the best episode we've seen yet, but I'd say it's better than several of them we've seen so far.
Sure. I feel maybe it takes a while to get going. I feel like towards the end it got interesting, but it does. But yeah,
It was a slow start. Definitely.
we've seen our share of mysterious dudes kind of grunting and acting mysterious and storming onto the bridge.
Yeah, that guy in particular. What was his name again? Van Gelder.
Van Gelder, Dr. Simon Van Gelder.
Yeah. No, he's definitely going through a thing.
He was very sweaty.
It was a lot of stuff. But no, I think it opened up, like you had commented even, where they hit a couple of their tropes right out at the gate with like, here's a random mysterious thing, and then we're just gonna leave it and walk away.
Oh yeah, they have this crew seems very accustomed to leaving the transporter completely unattended. Mm-hmm. It wasn't totally unattended this time. But the guy there had his back turned to. I guess he had no reason to believe that the Tantalus penal colony was going to ship them a madman.
No, he probably assumed it was samples or data or something.
But he wasn't keeping his eye, and it has happened before. Like the last time someone took their eye off the transporter, evil Kirk showed up.
Yeah.
So they should have their eyes open if they're going to be down there.
Now, one of the things this whole series is making me wonder is, did they not think of CCTV?
Was that even remotely possible at the time in the real world? Like, was that even an idea anywhere?
I'm not sure. I think that is like the solution to a lot of this. Just have security personnel watching the cameras, so to speak.
I don't think there was. I'm going to get this so completely wrong, but I almost don't even think there was like video. Like, I'm not sure if there was anything close to, like, and I mean, obviously it's science fiction. It's not like
Yeah.
the thing has to exist for them to have, but I mean, but like, I don't think there was video until the 70s. Like, this was almost certainly shot on film, and I don't, like, so like, so like, at that time, you would shoot something like this, and you wouldn't get to see it probably not until the next day. Like, even until like the 80s and 90s, getting dailies back the same day became a big thing. So like they probably wouldn't even, the people who made the show probably wouldn't see it until it was on TV.
So
That might be an exaggeration, but anyway, but yes.
CCTV was the technology was 24 years old when the show aired.
Okay, never mind.
It came out. Yeah, no, I looked it up because we're having the chat on it.
Wow.
CCTV was invented in 1942 by Walter Bruch and was used in Germany to capture live video footage of things.
Wow.
So they were using it in wartime to monitor the V-2 rockets, and yeah, so it was around. Like they were using it in World War II.
When was video?
What do you mean, like videotapes at all?
I guess I mean videotapes. I guess I'm wondering what kind of camera was transmitting.
1951 was when the first videotape was used.
Oh, okay. Maybe yeah, wow.
Yeah, videotape recorders for 1951 by Charles Ginsberg led the research team at Ampex Corp in developing it.
Okay, so never mind. Forget everything I said. I don't know who told me that videotape didn't come around until the 70s. But
We
yeah,
might be
I
talking
don't-
about VHS specifically.
I could have been. Well, I don't. Well, now I don't even want to speculate.
Yeah, VHS. Yeah, VHS was invented in '74, so that's what it could be. They might be talking about VHS. When I looked up
okay.
videotape, it looked like the old school reels, like
Yeah.
you know, like when they're showing us movies at movie theaters in television, you know, and they're like, here's this big reel. That's what they're talking about as tape, like the actual cord that's inside
Yeah, like big
the
reel
VHS.
to reel tapes.
Yeah. So that was in the 50s, and then VHS, which used a better version of that technology, was in the 70s.
Man, so, and I feel like that must have been, yeah. Man, I want to learn about cameras and the way we record things, because really, you can break down recordings into, well, now there's all digital stuff, but
Yeah.
At one point it was like film or video, but I don't really know if, and obviously a film camera it's not going to be the same kind of camera that's going to be transmitting what I assume must be a video signal on the closed caption TV in the 40s that we're talking about. So anyway, this dude Berkeley, who is not Scotty, beams up Simon Van Gelder, a madman, and he bursts onto the bridge and is pretty quickly subdued.
Yay! No, you can see it even when he's on the bridge. Like everyone's like, "Okay, this is a problem. Let's deal with this," because like he is losing it.
Yeah, this guy's in very bad shape. He is shouting strange things.
Yeah, and having trouble. Having like a block on his name. Every time he had to talk about his name, that seemed to like spike whatever was going on with him.
Yeah, and spoilers for what we're about to talk about. What's going on is that he has many layers of blocks that cause him pain when he tries to remember anything about what he's doing. So he's probably he can't think about. Imagine kind of knowing that. I guess that's what being extremely, extremely drunk is kind of like knowing things and knowing how to do things and knowing things should make sense. But when you try to think about them, there's just pain. So that's what's going on with him. And they get Dr. Adams of the penal colony on the phone, and
Comes off very reasonable and completely happy to help out.
Yeah, Dr. Adams is very forthcoming and very friendly. I almost didn't really see such an extreme heel turn, like supervillain turn coming. That's maybe why I liked this a lot more towards the end. Like, Dr. Adams really takes a turn in this because he's very friendly. He's very forthcoming. Bones thinks something stinks though. Bones is onto something. Something doesn't ring true. But Bones also, he doesn't like the transporters. He's an old-fashioned guy. He doesn't like prisons. He is prejudiced, and Kirk is given a sort of a kind of easy to say line that is almost a trope at these days, I think, when someone is talking about a prison and they're like, "Oh, it's basically a resort." It's like a joke now. That's what Kirk says.
One, I mean, like, it feels like I get that for you weren't particularly surprised by the jump, but like the guy's jump to being evil and awful, it felt heavily troped by the series in general. Like, it's just something you just assume is going to happen now, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Nothing is ever normal. Yeah.
He's the weird scientist with a weird secret. Just this time, he's got a whole bunch of people around him instead of just himself.
Exactly,
Or
and then
a couple androids or whatever.
a couple, yeah. Or he himself is an android. Yeah, no, that
Girl
is
in overalls and no shirt.
Like, that is just how the show keeps going, right? So it's clear that he's going to be the heel, and that things aren't all right on the planet side once we meet him.
Yeah, he's obviously lying. That's for sure, because
Yeah.
Simon Van Gelder, the madman on the ship, is clearly had... And another thing that is revealed... actually, no, not when they're talking to Dr. Adams, but Spock looks up Van Gelder's records and finds out that he is Dr. Van Gelder and that he was not committed to the Tantalus Penal Colony. He was assigned there to be Dr. Adams' assistant. So that's the first clue that, something's up. This isn't a prisoner, or maybe he is now. And, so they prepare. So Kirk calls him back. Dr. Adams basically admits to the situation. He explains that Dr. Van Gelder, boy, I can't get the two doctors straight. And I'm about to throw Dr. Helen into the mix. Did Dr. Helen get a last name?
Noel.
Oh, Dr. Helen Noel. It says it right here. Yeah. But Dr. Adams says, Dr. Van Gelder didn't want to use something on a patient that he wouldn't have tested himself. And he accidentally had an accident in one of our treatments or something. They don't exactly say neural neutralizer. It's that thing from Men in Black.
Yeah.
The zappy thing.
Flash. It's a flashy thing. The word is flash. I think that they use is flashy thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kirk is going to go check everything out, and he takes Dr. Helen Noel, and boy, there's something he doesn't want to talk about. As soon as they step on the transporter, she's like, "Remember the Christmas party?" And we don't really find out because the scene that we see later on is just what she wishes had happened.
Yeah. No, they get to it eventually where, Captain Kirk, you should be picturing, us basically having sex. Like,
when he asks her to implant an unusual thought for science, and that's what she thinks. Yep. She, instead of remembering when you blew me off, I think you should remember fucking me instead. We're getting
it was a weird, but like it's she's clearly interested in Kirk, and there was no one else for Kirk to hook up with this episode, so let's just have him be a sex god in someone's brain, like.
She seems very suspect, not only for that, but also just she's so on Dr. Adams's side. Like, when they go down there, she's like, everything Kirk says or asks about, she's like, don't worry about it, Kirk. Come on. You brought me down here to advise you, and I like this Dr. Adams guy. But she changes her tune eventually. But yeah, during all this, Van Gelder is screaming about how he is not a criminal and he won't go back. And so while Kirk is away, Spock and McCoy decide to do something for the first time ever. on Star Trek, which is have a mind meld.
They got a lot of information ripped from this man's mind with no explanation as to how the mind meld works. I don't think we actually throughout any of Star Trek ever get an explanation. It's just no, they can do it. Shut up. That's why.
Yeah, I don't think there's any kind of. I don't think we get any kind of scientific. Yeah, it's just something Vulcans do.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of, sort of different types of psychic, psionic types of abilities throughout the galaxy, and a lot of them are weird, low-level things like this. Vulcans can't read your mind. I mean, unless they're doing the mind meld.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, no, they can only do it through that touch. It's touch telepathy, but no clear what's like why they've got that ability. They just can.
There's man, I wonder because Tuvok was definitely there. There's an episode where they have to. Yeah, it might be the Balkans and the Beta Zeds, but they have to hide everyone. There's a point where Voyager is going through a place where there's an alien race there that they don't allow any psychics at all. So Voyager, I think what they do is every time they're encountering one of these ships, they gather all the Vulcans and Betazoids, and they put them in the transporter buffer, I think. I think this is one of the first instances of hiding someone in a transporter buffer. But, well, obviously we've got the Scotty thing before that, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. Might not even involve Vulcans, but
I don't remember that, to be honest, from Voyager, but it's been a while since I've watched it, so it might have just been one of those episodes that was on and not really paid attention to. I don't know.
Man, I'm really starting to like saying this, but we'll get there.
I know, no, we're
That's becoming a catchphrase.
It is, but I mean, we keep talking about stuff so far ahead of where we're actually at, So
yeah, because that's where our favorite stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, Voyager's always got a very soft spot. Like we watched last night, even TNG. We were watching Artemis. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's like in the '90s Star Trek that like it's so formative to the things that I enjoy now.
Man, did you like the Skin of Evil?
Is that the name of the Artemis episode?
That's the Artemis episode, yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed that episode. Sorry, I'm so bad with the episode names, But yeah, no, I really like that one. I mean, and I remember when I first saw it and they killed off Tasha Yar. Spoiler alert.
I remember being like 10 or whatever, 11, and like not thinking, like I didn't know that would be allowed.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you're supposed to do that in a movie, and then he's supposed to come back anyway. Like you can't.
Oh, and it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, really, and that's really what. It
came out of nowhere, and it's just very. She's dead now. Who cares? Moving on. Instead of like.
And the actual death is the most. But they do address it that it's a stupid, wasteful death, and that's like what the worst part of it is that it is for absolutely no reason, but it totally is. Like she basically gets slapped to death in like a split second, just like bap. It's almost like occasionally, like that good, not Magimo. Do you remember me telling about it's a floating green head in space, but this one is very strange looking because he doesn't have a nose. It's on TNG, but he shows up and like immediately just kills a guy. And it's almost like, it's like something that, that kind of thing does happen, except that lady's been on 20 episodes now, every episode. Like,
yeah. No, she's a major character.
And I'm speaking from 1988 or whatever right now. Yeah, like I'm speaking of how I felt when I saw that happen. I was like, she's not gonna be dead. And then they were having the funeral for her, and I was like, what?
Yeah, no, it didn't make sense. It felt like a wasteful action.
I almost please finish. Sorry.
No, it felt like a wasteful action when it happened. Like she's a major character. She's head of security. She is main cast. These are not the people who die, especially not in season 1.
And not at that time in our history, yeah.
Like even looking at it now, I can't think of a season 1 Star Trek death from the main cast outside of Tasha Yar's. I can't place one up.
No, I mean the only other real I don't know if Jadzia Dax even really counts. I mean main cast to death. I mean, Kess does she die in the end, or do they? I don't know what happens to Kes. Something weird.
Cass eventually leaves and comes back.
Yeah,
Like, they
that's
have her coming back as like a 7-year-old and like super old and super powerful.
Yes, that's the one. I don't know if she dies or not, but
No, I don't.
but she's
that's
done
also,
she's done a
like
real
3 seasons later,
supervillain
though.
turn. Sorry.
But that's also like 3 seasons later, though. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Like, it's not season 1.
Oh, right, well, for sure, yeah. I mean, I definitely can't think of a season 1. I was about to say I can only think of and I don't know if either of those 2 deaths count. The 2.
I don't know when Jadzia Dax dies in the show. I'm trying to find that out now.
She dies in, I believe, the season finale of season 6, and she's basically replaced by herself. They basically just replaced the actress and call her Esri, but she's exactly the same. Like, you're not really supposed to do that with Trill, and they even say that, like, she just happened to be the only Trill that was around that they could put the thing in, but, like, you're also, there's this big rule about certainly not getting back into your old relationships, but I don't think you're even really supposed to, like, associate with the same friends and stuff. And she just goes right back into everything she was doing. Like, she's supposed to be, like, exiled if she fucks Worf.
Oh, okay.
And she does. Like,
Esri fucks Worf?
And it seems like something that Dax would not do because of how seriously she has taken all of her Trill stuff up to that point. And it just seems like they just wanted it to keep being Jadzia. Like, they didn't want to actually change. Like, they don't even look tremendously different. Esri's shorter and
cuter.
Yeah.
Like, Esri's got the more rounded
She's
face,
got a pipsqueak
bigger, brighter
kind of thing.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cute, like, adorable cute. You know what I mean?
But they I don't think the writers knew they were going to have to replace the actress, and they didn't. The character didn't change. Yeah. So that's why I don't know if that death counts.
Okay. I don't know. She's not season 1 is really where I'm coming from. Like, again,
Totally not. Yeah.
Season,
No one's season 1. I mean, that's, yeah.
Star Trek doesn't kill main characters in season 1. They do it season 2 on, but never season 1. And yeah, hers.
Okay, obviously we're talking, like, mainly about the 90s, and, you know, Chris hasn't even seen a lot of the modern stuff, and so, like, you know, but yeah, there might be an exception. We might have another character that, I'll stay silent for now.
Again, it just didn't make sense that they'd kill off the security chief of all people. Like, she was not the one who should have died. It was just out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, and it's in a situation where she didn't even have a chance, just completely defenseless. Yeah, really, yeah. But in 1988 or whenever it was, I did one of my first thoughts was, are they allowed to do this? But, like, afterwards, I was like, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, I was blown away in retrospect. Like, I think, like, I seriously have thought about writing stories since then because of how blown away, because how I couldn't believe, like, a writer was allowed to just do that. And when I started, you know, seeing other media where characters would either die or very surprisingly return either to life or from something else that blew my mind is when they had Agent Mulder disappear for, like, you know, 2 seasons or whatever. Like, and they had that other guy. I think was it the T-1000?
Yeah, Doggett.
It was Patrick.
I don't know his real name, but the character's name was Doggett, and he's the guy who played. Yeah, he's from the second Terminator movie.
Okay,
he's got weird ears. I'm sorry, his ears are weirdly out of his head and pointy for me.
Yeah, I got you.
That's like his defining feature for me. But yeah,
I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he took over. That's when X-Files jumped the shark pretty hard too. Like,
yeah, I think that was right after the movie.
Seasons.
Yeah, people definitely stopped. I stopped watching it. People stopped. Like, my friends stopped talking about it. Everyone, it was weird because, like, that is like I was just saying, that's the kind of thing I think is really interesting when a TV show or something just takes a complete turn. A lot of the time, it's the necessity of the production, but, like, I'm always very interested in that. But the way that everyone just stopped, it seemed like people just stopped thinking about that show. They were like, okay, that's enough. We saw the movie. Yeah. Here's the T-1000. I don't care. And that's what happened.
Yeah, no, I watched fairly religiously for X-Files for years. Completely unrelated to Star Trek. But I watched a lot of it, and then around season 5, when they really started pushing Mulder and Scully together, I started like drifting from the show, and I ended up taking a bit of a break from it just because life, right?
Yeah.
I saw the movie, loved the movie. I felt like I was like the only person in my friends group who watched the show and watched the movie and actually enjoyed the movie, but I did. And then didn't watch a lot of the show afterwards because it wasn't great. Like the actual show wasn't that good, and ended up catching like a couple episodes with Dagger, and it was just like, no, this is terrible. This is absolute dog shit. Yeah. And he has stuck in my head ever since.
I wonder, do they mention him at all, or does he have anything to do with the 2 seasons they made like 5 years ago?
I don't know. I didn't watch the remakes, like when they brought it back.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
I thought it was totally serviceable. I think I liked the second one, which was season 10. I think I liked the second new season better than the first one. But I thought they were doing it.
I want to go back. I do want to. It's on Disney Plus. It's something I'm meaning to watch, and I've tried to. But much like this stuff, like it's not that original Star Trek was bad necessarily, but the way television and stories are told is so different now.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
And that's I really struggle trying to get back into it. Like I used to love this show. I would watch it all the time. And even like a good example of this too is like Supernatural, right? Like the first Supernatural was on for 15 years. I pushed through. I got to the start of I got to the start of season 12 of this. Okay,
Jesus Christ!
And it was. For anyone who doesn't know, like Supernatural is very clearly seasons 1 through 5 are just Hunter the TTRPG from White Wolf. It's 100% up to and including like the ending. Like it is literally just Hunter, and then they ran out of. It feels like they ran out of material, and so they started trying to make their own show, and it wasn't that good. So like season 6, it wasn't great, and then like it kind of upped and down until like it limped over that finish line of season 15, from what I've heard. And it's the same situation where it's like, I've gone back and I've tried to rewatch it because I'm like, no, you got so far, you know it's done now, just finish off the show.
Yeah.
And all 3 of these shows, they start very different from how they feel at the end of the show, in my opinion. Uh-huh. And the writing is so much more different in, like, pacing. So, like, and when I'm talking about Star Trek, I'm not talking just the 3 seasons of TOS in this. I'm talking about all of Star Trek. Because unfortunately, we're talking 58 years of television.
That's a lot. The
writing has changed so drastically in 58 years that these episodes feel slow. They feel kind of dry, kind of boring. And it's not by fault of original Star Trek. It's just that's how television was back then, or a lot more so in this vein, right? And Supernatural did the same thing. Like, it starts off, I can't watch the early seasons. The early seasons are a bit slow and a little bit boring, and that's only 20 years ago. And... You know, X-Files, same thing. It's just the TV isn't the TV anymore. And getting all the way to the end, it can be really difficult.
As a people, our attention spans have been disintegrated.
Yeah.
It is. Storytelling has changed a lot. And something that, and I keep talking about weekly release because I'm fascinated by it, but a lot of the times when you weren't expecting the whole season to be, curated for all eternity and placed on, Netflix or sold in DVD, box sets, like there was a lot more one of the reasons that TV seasons used to be like 22 episodes is because you would have a bunch of filler episodes. Who cares? Just throw a couple out there. One episode is just clips. They did that on TNG, clips of other episodes. Like, that was something you could get away with because people were going to watch it one time, maybe, and that was it. And, now a combination of the attention span and just the fact that everyone knows everyone's going to watch every episode over and over again. And it's basically, that's why a lot of shows are, 16-hour movies or whatever.
Well, and that is the case now. Like they used to try kind of doing overarching stories for the entire season, but they couldn't do them for too long because it was you had to have like a lot of breaks in it to a degree.
Early X-Files did it really well with the Monster
They
of
did.
the Week, and then the plotline episode, and then the monster, and then the plotline
Yeah.
with Crytek.
And see, Supernatural tried to do the same thing when they
Yeah.
came out too. They tried to do Monster of the Week, but they had an overarching, well, Yellow Eyes Demon is a problem. We need to deal with him, but we don't know where he is. So let's go save this family from
Right,
the river monster that's trying to kill them through their
some
bathtub.
fucking Bigfoot or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did it. They did it pretty decently at the start, and like then you get like nowadays where they can't do that the same way because like if you gave me as a TV viewer who does, and again I hate episode a week. I do not enjoy that. I know that some people do. You're one of the ones who prefers that broken up. I want it all at once. I want to sit down and just watch through it because I find even when it's being released episode a week, it's still being written for binging. So it doesn't. It's not being written for you to sit down and watch an hour every week. It's being written for you to sit down and watch your 10-hour movie and be done with it, you know?
As a matter, I mean, you might have just completely summed up why I don't like Picard season 2.
I might have. I haven't seen it yet, but
that thing was just such a 10-hour movie. Like they didn't even. It doesn't even feel like episodes. Like it. Yeah. Yeah, I like to. I would like things to be more episodic than they tend to be. I would like to watch something for an hour and then, you know what, forget about it for a week. Yeah.
And that's fine, but you have to go to classic TV. And I'm talking. This is like, I'd say in the last 10 years. Like we're talking 2015.
A lot of things have changed since even since 2015. A lot of things have changed.
Exactly. So I really do feel like I don't know. I feel like that does unfortunately play negatively, and I think that might be why we're because you and I have both been ranking a lot of these episodes a bit lower than what they seem to be getting on IMDb, and I think that might be a lot of it. Is just with the way that the writing is. It's not that the shows are bad. Like I enjoyed this episode. I did, but they do have that detriment of it's very much not written for the times, and it makes it harder to watch. And I can't. As a great example, like I watched I Dream of Jeannie for the first time about a month or so ago when I was helping out with my grand, and it's unwatchable to me. Yeah, I don't. The humor is terrible. What little humor there is, it is all slapsticky, awkward situations that are easily avoidable, and there's no reason that anyone would do this in real life, and there's no realism whatsoever. And television today, even the comedies, try to be based in realism, right? So it's so bad, and it's just a difference of what people were looking for in television at the time, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of this episode,
yes, yes. After a half-hour distraction.
Dr. Van Gelder does not want Kirk to stay at Tantalus and have a sleepover, but Kirk does. Well, actually, he does because he wants to wait till everyone goes to bed and sneak into the neuralizer room to get a good look at it. And that's when they discover that the recipient, first of all, I guess on the low dose, forgets that it even happened. Because maybe after continued conditioning, you remember to forget. Or whatever. You have to remember to forget or else you'll be in a lot of pain is what ends up happening. But like I mentioned, for science, he tells her to put a suggestion in his mind. She makes him hungry. And then he says, something more unusual. Let's really science this out. And that's when we get an actual flashback scene. But it's what she is telling him she wants him to remember about the time that they didn't hook up at the Christmas party, which is not really a sentence I expected to be saying about TOS.
Also makes me wonder, because I don't remember her taking that memory back out of his head.
Yeah, maybe he thinks that now. I mean,
yeah, that's a real possibility.
When Adams goes full supervillain, he tells Kirk that he's always been in love with Helen, I think just for fun. And then when Spock comes in to rescue them, Kirk fucking smashes his face right into Helen, and but she seems like she knows that it's gone too far at this point. Like she could be like, "All right, cool, this is what I was trying to have happen all along." But Spock gets to do that funny little, like, relax a little bit with his phaser and give Kirk the eye, like, oh, well, this is what I come down to save you, and you're fucking making out with Dr. Helen Noel. This is where the action part of the episode begins to occur. Adams is trying to hypnotize Kirk, and when Kirk is really, he's able to resist it. Adams even mentions that Kirk resists it even better than Van Gelder did, but Kirk resists it so well that when they stash him and Helen, they shouldn't have put him and Helen together. Although Adams did have this plan to make Kirk believe he was always in love with her, so who knows? But he comes up with a plan where Helen crawls through some incredibly comfortable looking air ducts. Like the one in the generator room that she goes to, it's basically a door. She just opens it up and walks in there, and these are very comfortable looking stage air ducts that she crawls through to disable the power, which allows Kirk to stop being hammered by the beam. And I might have missed exactly what happens. He gets up and knocks out Dr. Adams.
I think so, yeah.
Dr. Adams continues to lay there in the neuralizer room, and then when they turn the power on, they neuralize him to death by accident. They leave him in there and they cook him when Spock rescues him and turns the power back on. Which seems grim to me.
Just a little bit. I can't imagine that was a good way for anybody to go, but fortunately, at least, I mean, the way it's implied, right? Like, is that the thing?
Emptied him out.
Yeah, so you're not thinking about it while you die, right? You just die.
Yeah.
Which is, at least there's that kindness, you know?
Okay.
Like, he's not fully aware of him dying, he's just dead all of a sudden. It's like, okay, well, that, like, at least he didn't have to go through it all. It's still stupid and sucks, but at least.
Do you think there's more death in this show than all the other ones?
I mean, I've never actually tried to do a death count, so I don't know. But now that you've said it, I kind of want to go back to episode 1 and count up how many people die over the whole thing, and do that as an extra data collection on our...
Oh, boy. Yeah. It just seems like a lot. I haven't counted. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But
neither do I.
But from the 8 episodes or 9 episodes that we've watched, it really seems like a lot of characters die on this show. Not main characters, but people die.
No, just people.
Yeah.
Now, the question, though, also becomes, are you factoring in the folks who have died? Like, as an example, we had the episode where Kirk becomes the android evil Kirk, right? And in that one there was...
Androids count.
What... No, I'm not talking the androids.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the scientist who landed and then became an android in that episode. He died.
No, right, okay.
But his android lived.
No, you gotta die. You gotta die in the episode. Like, the death has to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be shown, but like the character has to be alive at one part of the episode and then dead by the end. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think this one necessarily would be the highest death toll total, just for the simple fact that it's only 3 seasons and most of the other Star Treks are 7 seasons.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking, yeah.
But there's still, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the highest death per season versus just the highest overall deaths, you know?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, 6 people died in the Androids episode. Like,
yep.
I feel like at least 4 or 5 died to the Salt Vampire. I feel like there was one other one that I said, seems like a lot of deaths in this one.
Yeah,
I feel like I've been saying that.
Yeah, no, it's come up a few times, so yeah. You know what? What I will do, and I'm saying this on record, is I'm going to go back and I'm going to start watching through classic Trek again, because I have a problem, and I'll start counting how many deaths there are, and we'll try to do that going forward and see, so that we can actually have that, you know, most deadly episode versus most deadly show versus most deadly season kind of thing, you know?
I think this episode just has 1. It just put me into the
Yeah,
And
no, I
we
get
were-
it. And like we've had a couple of high death counts so far.
Yeah.
In general, like you said, like I'm pretty sure Salt Vampire, I'm pretty sure killed 4 people. We had the androids episode where
6.
all
Two
4 of the
humans,
3 of the
four
androids, a couple
androids.
of humans,
Yep.
yeah. Like there's been a couple of high deaths. So, and I mean I can think of TNG where there's like whole episodes that nobody dies. There's that good example is the Stay Off the Grass with Wes episode
Oh,
where
there's plenty of. Oh, there's plenty.
they
I think
actively
that
tried not to kill anyone, whereas
I
these guys
feel
don't
like-
give a fuck.
I feel like in the 90s, it would be rare to have a death of any character that's on the episode. Like,
Let alone
you know,
Tasha Yar.
a couple times a season. It's Tasha Yar, a big surprise.
Yeah.
We
No,
don't-
so it'd be interesting to see what that kind of data works out to be. Though, you know?
we can start. I would put this episode down for a 1, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that yet, but I will
Okay.
add that. I'll do that column. I'll add that column to the.
Yeah, no rush up to the doc. No rush.
Yeah, and I'll start counting and see about like getting that information updated in general. Because yeah, no, death toll.
We do not really get an ending at all for Dr. Gelder, for Van
No.
Gelder, the mind meld. We don't know if the mind meld helped or didn't seem to. There's no indication that it did. They just got the info. And in fact, they didn't really do anything with that info. That info was for us, the viewers. So
Yes.
hopefully Dr. Gelder felt better after the mind meld. I guess.
I don't think we ever find out in the show ever. Like I think he's
I
now
don't
off
think-
the season,
yeah,
like the show.
yeah.
So
In
that resolution is just going to be up in the air until
That's it, yeah. Oh, well, unless they address it in Strange New Worlds, basically. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Or even like I mean, we've had a couple of shows where they've done like
Weird check in
flashbacking
again.
type stuff.
Yeah. It's now becoming Now instead of like remaking the same plot line, they'll actually go and they'll actually do like a sequel to an episode now.
Yeah, like we got that with the Trials and Tribulations versus Trouble with Tribbles, and we've gotten that with the crossover episode that has been mentioned a few times with Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds.
But that's the best episode of Trek in the past 5 years. Maybe not.
It was
No,
so good.
I'd have to really think about that, but
No, but that was
that's
still,
it's
it was
great.
a really good episode, and
Just
people
unbelievably entertaining.
like actually is on point. It was
Yeah.
where I wanted it. It felt just like old Trek, but not stupid.
I can't believe that's Dennis Quaid's kid. Holy shit.
I know, right? That's okay. I still have trouble believing that Dennis and Randy Quaid are brothers.
That's really weird. That's yeah, boy, Randy Quaid is sure something else.
He is.
You know what? I like this one and I want to give it an 8.
I was thinking of it a 7.
Okay.
So it's a good episode. Like I said, it's not the best we've seen, period. But
Yeah, it's not.
I really
slow to
did.
get
I
going.
enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's talk about the question of the week. Just like earlier in this episode, I find myself unprepared, so let me scroll up. This is usually pretty easy because I just need to look for the logo of anyway, okay, I've got it. I've got the question of the week. It's here. It's in front of me. What was my prediction? I'd be very tired by the end of this. Yeah, I had a whole day of... I'm not going to tell you what my day... I mean, it's not a secret. It's not that you shouldn't know what my day was like. But I mean, I don't need to tell you. I'm usually tired at the end of editing a podcast. This one tends to happen in the evening. I tend to wrap this one up right at is Sunday the first day of the week? Or I guess it depends on who you are. It feels like the end of the week for me. Thank you for sharing this evening and weekend with me. Boy, where are we? Okay, the question of the week is, now the wizard is offering to... The last question involved a wizard. Now, the wizard is offering to remove some of your memories. For every bad memory you would like removed, he will also remove another random memory of equal size. What percentage of your bad memories would you like removed? It occurs to me that it's not the plot line or even a mechanic in The Neverending Story Part 2, but it's not entirely dissimilar. He's getting manipulated into making wishes that are removing his memories. Anyway, Saint's response is, I'm good, thanks. Pete says, for the memories, I would say 0%. I have done a lot of shitty things and had a fair number done to me. In the end, I look back at the bad memories as steps in my growth as a person. It would be convenient and a temporary comfort to remove any memory, but each one is a step in a long genetic line that dates back to the beginning of all life. Oh, wow. To remove something that is a part of me, no matter how cringy or painful, ultimately is still removing a part of me, and I have grown fond of me. Or I'd remove that time I shit my pants on the way home from Taco Bell when my friend got too chatty and I didn't leave fast enough. Tough choice, though. The first part, of course, is the correct answer, so congratulations, Pete. Something funny happened because I said, and I was just still thinking about those two responses popped up like immediately, and I was still just kind of hi, and it was Sunday night and tired, as we've discussed, and I just figured, since we have the correct answer and the philosophical answer already, that's the correct answer. I figured I'd weigh in and be funny, so I said, I'd let that motherfucker wipe me clean. We'll get back to that. Raven says, it's a scary thing to ponder being transgender. What if I wish away all of my dysphoric memories? Would I even be the same person? And that's something to think about. Dysphoria is, well, it's different than trauma, right? Or is it something that can be the source of trauma? And man, feelings of being incorrect or feeling not like yourself or uncomfortable in your own skin or body, like, it's almost like those, that can surely be extremely painful, but it's almost like those are motivators, which I think is kind of what Raven is kind of saying, that like those are motivators for who you become. And yeah, and that's also a correct answer. All right, good job, Raven. Everyone's doing a really good job. Let's see what Atheist Man says. He says, what happens if I want all the bad gone and the bad outnumber the good? And so I had to weigh in like as Mr. Destiny / the Discord storyteller dungeon master, because I had to make a judgment call on that one. And so addendum to this question of the week: if you want all the bad gone and it outnumbers the good, if that number is, if that's a non-zero number, then you will be unable to make new memories for 5 years, is what I decreed. Weebs says, on one hand, it sounds enticing, but on the other, I think it would be unwise to forget certain threats or situations, or the lessons learned by dealing with them. Another kind of subtly different take. I really like this one. I liked last week's. This is getting good. Maybe they're all going to be like, a wizard is going to do something to you. They're not, though. I know what this week's question is now that anyway. But yeah, because the way your brain is pathed the way it is due to trauma and scary things and things that have upset, terrified, or harmed you. So yeah, forgetting how you reacted to certain threats that made you prepared, the next time or whatever, you don't want to forget about that either. So congratulations to, 3 of them. And I mean, Saint had the correct answer too when he said no. All right, so Locke says 0%. What Pete said. Fickle Pickle Pie says he could do without some trauma. Saint is fortunate in many ways, and he doesn't think he has memories traumatic enough to justify it. Good for you, Saint. Maybe that's the correct answer. The correct answer is have a nice childhood and get your shit together. And so here's where the first response to "I'd let that motherfucker wipe me clean" comes up. And so if you recall, Pete is talking about how he had shit his pants on the way home from Taco Bell because his friend was too chatty. That was not even in my brain. I was just thinking about how I would like everything that's in my brain removed from it. I barely even read about, I mean, I did read it because it is, the punchline's really funny. But anyway, I wasn't thinking about the chatty friend wiping me. So I was talking about the wizard wiping my brain. So I just want to be clear. Surreptitious Music weighs in and says, in response to me saying I'd let that motherfucker wipe me clean, he says, "Are you referring to the friend that got chatty at the Taco Bell?" Fickle Pickle Pie backs him up. This is exactly where my mind went. And now I see what Koya actually meant. This is like 2 days later. Fickle has been thinking I've been talking about making my friend wipe my ass. Surreptitious Music says, "The only memories I'd erase are the totally inconsequential faux pas and just little petty embarrassments, the kind of stuff that lurks in my head for years and I can't even figure out why I could possibly care about it. You know, that stuff that you lay in bed going, boy, I was so dumb that time. Why did I say that dumb thing?" I mean, it might turn out that all those little moments and the fact that they're still embedded in your brain are the pathways and those the forks in those neuropaths that have made you who you are, or made you safe from, protect you from certain dangerous situations, socially or otherwise, whether you know it or not. Anyway, he continues. I'm responding to it before he even... "But I'd rather be able to recall ways I've felt that are long gone." Oh, the opposite procedure. The wizard may be able... the wizard should make an offer in response to this. He continues. "I'd like to be able to inhabit bygone feelings toward people or things, like trying on a suit for a few minutes just to compare and learn." Boy, that's asking a lot of this wizard. That would be, really, and maybe that's what therapy is. Really taking a look at yourself, your behaviors, and your problems, and the causes of those behaviors and problems. But yeah, man, imagine being able to just magically do that. Be like, why was I doing this? Why was I doing this thing that day? Why did I do this thing for years? Why can't I just try on my old feelings and remember why I was doing that and compare to my... boy, wouldn't it be great if we could all just look inside of our own stupid, fleshy pink brains. Pete. So does Pete finish us off? More or less, yes. Pete finishes off by coming back to not talk about butts, but he says, "Upon further pondering, I realize it is also a chance to do something extraordinary. I change my mind and say wipe the entire thing down to functional capacity. That's what I'm doing too. Clean slate, but remember how not to die. Like starting a new run-through of your favorite video game with everything randomized. That's what I'm saying, man. Wipe me clean. Get every fucking memory out of this stupid, clanking, cantankerous rust bucket that is my skull. Strip me of my clothes and drop me on a beach in Bali or something. I don't even know where that is. But where does he go in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Tahiti? So, yeah. That was a lot. Thank you so much for listening to The Least Ready Room, a podcast where Dave and Chris, I'm Dave, watch every episode of Star Trek and talk about it with Locke and Saint and Midori and Surreptitious Music and Weebs and whoever wants to. We're on Discord. You can come and get on our Discord. It's called Easy Town, and talk to us about Star Trek and Twin Peaks and TV and other things and podcasts and Vampire the Masquerade and tabletop role-playing games and, whatever. We can talk and play games. You remember that magical piece of Talking Clay? I've mentioned it before, I think. So you can get a link to that Discord by going to koyadk.tv. You can buy soap from me at lakehousesoaps.com. You can check out all my other socials and stuff on koyadk.tv. And, whatever. Come say hi to me, talk to us about Star Trek and the question of the week. Yeah, so the next episode we're going to talk about, the episode that we're going to do an episode about next Sunday, is the Corbomite maneuver, which has sort of, because we've talked about it so much, become my favorite episode officially of TOS. We'll see if it stays that way. I might decide. I don't know what my favorite episode of TOS is, but I feel like I just gave Balance of Terror a 10, and I think I gave the Corbomite maneuver a 10. So we're moving into episodes I really like. But the Corbomite maneuver, here's a big spoiler. If you've been listening to this for 2 hours, obviously we've spoiled a lot of things. You should have probably figured out that we spoil things. If you're listening to any of my content, you know that I spoil everything I talk about. But, so spoiler alert. The Corbomite maneuver features an excellent cameo by Clint Howard, who's like 10 or 11. And since there was a cameo from Surreptitious Music in this episode, the question of the week is, what was your favorite cameo on anything, on any TV show or movie? Like, who was an actor that showed up for one scene that just did an incredible job and blew your mind? Or a character that showed up for one scene completely unexpected that either changed the context of the story but, really knocked your socks off? What was your favorite cameo? Star Trek or otherwise? Yeah, short little Clint Howard. Clint Howard has at least three cameos throughout Star Trek. I feel like probably more. I can think of 3. And the best cameo might not be Christian Slater. See you next week. Thank you so much.